Coming up on this Caribbean Vibe Houston interview with Sailor Jane.
I used to sit next to the keyboard or the organ player during the service and just like watch him. And I think that was like my first musical experience I can remember as a little girl. And I just wanted to sing. So I sang all the time. And my sister, who I shared a room with, didn't really like it. And I remember her like several times throwing things at me, like, shut up. So
Right.
yeah, it was just something that was in me and I always did. And I think because I just couldn't shake the desire to play music and sing, I just worked on it and got better. So there's a dancehall, there's an Afrobeat, there's roots reggae, there's a ska. We really tried to bring in all the different subgenres of Jamaican music so that there is something for everyone on that record, and it all kind of just grooves and flows like that, hopefully.
Yeah. And I guess it is, pretty
Enough for some people not to want to mess with me because this is a sticky business. And
exactly.
people know they can't make money off of you or take advantage of you. It's a different thing. So, and I'm fully aware of that. And that's totally okay because I'm out here making music because I love it. And I want to create art. And I could care less about how many people or who consumes it. Like if people like it and love it, that just builds me up and makes me want to make more, but I'm going to make more regardless.
So hi, we're here with Sailor Jane. I am DJ Uncle L. Typically do this with Super Neil, but it'll be me alone today. But again, I was just saying, I'm excited just because again, we've kind of seen your music. Really been catching the vibe of the No Ordinary dub. That album is pretty nice.
Yeah, man, I'm really, actually very proud of it. My first album, and I would say it's probably just the highlight of my musical career, and I'm really, really excited about it. I'm doing some more with it now that maybe we'll talk about.
Yeah,
some more coming from it, but yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, we're well, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. So what I like to do and what Neil and I like to do is, kind of start from the beginning. Some people are born to sing, others are born to DJ. But I guess what I'd like to know, just kind of hear from you, is like talk about the moment that kind of let you know that, hey, I can sing. I could really do this, because some people do, but not everybody can. So,
I'm not sure it kind of went like that exactly for me. I have been singing since I can remember being alive. So, and I don't think I was good when I was like really young. I think it just was coming from like a place, I don't know, like some people I think are made to sing. I don't think that everyone starts out great. I don't think I was great. I was in church, so I was around music a lot in church. My mom was very involved and hold on one second. Hey, O'Hare. We'll come back to that. Sorry.
That's all right.
Is that better? Is it less noisy?
You're good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I grew up in church, and my mom was very involved in the youth group. And the church that I went to was a gospel, like Pentecostal church. So there's lots of music and lots of gospel music, choir and organ and everything all throughout the service. So I was definitely in the youth choir. I used to sit next to the keyboard or the organ player during the service and just like watch him. And I think that was like my first musical experience I can remember as a little girl, and I just wanted to sing. So I sang all the time. And my sister, who I shared a room with, didn't really like it. And I remember her like several times throwing things at me, like, shut up. So yeah, it was just something that was in me, and I always did. And I think because I just couldn't shake the desire to play music and sing, I just worked on it and got better. And then I started learning some instruments. I didn't really have any formal music training as a young girl. My mom was a parent and couldn't really afford that. So it wasn't until I was about 13 that I got a guitar.
Right.
And there was a local like art school, a public art school that you could audition for, and I taught myself guitar, and I pretended like I was reading sheet music to audition into the school and got in. And that's when I got some formal music training, like some piano and music theory, and then obviously guitar. And I learned like jazz chords and
Mm-hmm.
basic, nylon string, fingerstyle guitar. So, and that really helped me with vocals because that really then gave me this better understanding of like what I was doing.
Right, right.
And so how to train myself better. And then, yeah, so I just really always loved singing. I didn't do any sort of gigging or playing professionally though through high school. I graduated from the School of the Arts, and then I went to Full Sail for audio engineering. So I knew I wanted to work in the industry, but I wasn't like some killing guitar player. I was going to go make a bunch of money, especially coming out of the school that I was at, where I was with some of the most talented musicians,
Right.
in North Florida. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. I'm not going to go to school and major in music. I was actually kind of I was tired of guitar by the time I graduated high school because it became homework, like
Right.
go to high school and then you're like, it's part of your, graduation criteria. And so I was ready for a break from that. And so I went to Full Sail for audio engineering, which I
Okay.
was interested in like the technical side. My grandfather owned radio stations when I was young. So the production and like the broadcasting and the equipment, like I was really interested in all of that, like the reel-to-reel tapes. I thought all that was really cool when I was little, seeing. So yeah, so and got a degree in audio engineering. Got really interested in the production side of things and just like how all of that works. And then had my daughter. So
Right.
all
Yeah.
that kind of just like took, everything just kind of took a back seat there. And I went on to get a degree in nursing and a registered nurse,
Okay.
all of that thing. So like it wasn't until maybe, I did get the opportunity, was hired by a band to sing backing vocals. And that was like the first reggae band I ever worked with. And I really appreciate that experience because it was through that band, working with that band. The band was called Pili. So King Eddie, bass player and lead singer, and like he taught me reggae music and he introduced me to reggae music beyond just like Bob Marley and
Right.
like the Caribbean music that everybody hears, especially living in Florida, just like in the background. He really taught me like the culture and of the music. And that's when I became obsessed with reggae music, and I
Right.
just like studied it and played in the band with him maybe 3-4 nights a week. Actually, that was like my fun kind of like time, was to go sing with him. Eventually, yeah, he was the lead singer and also the bass player, which is an interesting position to be in reggae music.
Yeah.
And so learning the songs from him, I was learning the bass lines forward, which is a great way to learn reggae music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to learn to call these reggae bass lines and these rhythms essentially, and like, how the music and the songs can actually form over like a central bass line. That is a concept unique to reggae music. And like, I think I was really lucky to learn from him because I learned the bass lines, I learned the rhythms, And
Yeah.
I have picked up bass and I do play bass since then because I've just been really inspired by that concept and that idea. But yeah, he started giving me space on those rhythms once I became familiar with them to either just do my own thing, try and sing a song over that, or write, just kind of like freestyle and come up with my own things. So I started doing that for a little while, and then I decided to start my own band, and I was writing and recording and kind of just went from there.
Right. Right. So what was the first song that you wrote?
Ooh, well, I mean, I think I wrote songs when I was little, like when I was a girl, and I don't remember any of them, and I don't know if they were good or not. I have no idea. I do remember writing songs and singing songs when I was young, but the first song I ever wrote and recorded and released was a song called You Feel Like Music.
You feel like music, someone like music. You feel like music, someone like music.
It was around that same time that I was just talking about. And like where I wasn't doing music full time. I was nursing full time, and I'm a full time mom with a young daughter, and like
Yeah.
But I had a friend that had a studio in his house, which was kind of beginning of that time, you know, when people just had home studios, and I thought he was like the only person we knew with a home studio at that time. So he recorded me and produced the song, and it's a song called You Feel Like Music, and it's out on Spotify. It's old. It's old. But that's like baby me, you know, like that was the first song that I wrote and released. And I thought it was awesome. I was like, this is so cool. I want to do more of this. And then I think following that one, I did a song called Sending All My Love, which actually was a gift to one of my best friends for her wedding, and it's a song about
Nice.
her and her journey sailing to the Bahamas and meeting her husband. And then we did a little cutesy video for them too where they're in it. So that was it wasn't commissioned, but it was like intended for something specific.
Yeah.
And then I did like a cover of Afro Blue. I did like my version of Afro Blue, which is kind of like a dance version, I guess you could say, like an electronic version. And then I did so this rhythm found me somehow. I don't even really remember how, but somehow this rhythm came across my ears, and when I heard it instantly, I was just like download, you know, like I wrote the song already and recorded it, and that's Ready for Love.
Yeah.
And that one was, so the producer of that rhythm, his name is Putin Nui. He's a radio DJ in Hawaii on 93.3. He's a great DJ, and he's a great musician. And then that was mixed by Ian Young from California, who used Tribal Seeds and some other things. So, and then I actually have a remixed version of that voiced by Peter Morgan.
Yeah. I saw that on your on your website. And has that been released or not?
No, it hasn't been released. It wasn't set up for release. And unfortunately, rest in peace, Peter Morgan is no longer with us. So I'm not really sure what or how to move forward, but it's okay. It's there. It means a lot to me that it's even just out there. So if anybody wants to hear it, they can go check out my website, and that's really the only place you can hear it. You can't download it, you can't save it, but you can hear it.
Right. Yeah, I mean that, and first of all, the Ready to Love track is awesome.
Thank you.
Know, and definitely, you know, what a way to make a debut. You know, when you come out of the gate with something like that, and to be honest, to have a remix with Peter and just kind of listening to the combination of the two of you on that, it's really smooth. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we had a conversation with Mojo Morgan a couple of weeks ago. We did an interview with him, and you know, I mean, the family is real cool. So I mean, I would reach
out to him for me.
I would do that. I would do that. I don't know what he would say.
I heard this. What's going on?
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think the world needs to hear that remix. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Can you talk about how that session was? Did you all do that in session together, or was it like he sent lyrics to you, or vice versa?
Yeah, no, we didn't do it in session together. I had met the whole family out in Utah, and actually it was Mojo that was really digging the track, and like that a collab would be really cool, and he brought up the idea and then let Peter hear it. I just remember being like on the tour bus, and they all really vibe into the song, and he had some ideas, and so they voiced on it and sent it to me maybe like a month or so later. So I was not in session with him. However, we were in conversation about doing songwriting sessions together and collaborating. And I just, you know, anything I have for any memories I have from that are really, really special. The song's really, really special. But I do wish we would have been able to make like the songwriting sessions happen because I really love his style, his writing style, his melodic ideas, his voice. But you know, we just have to like give thanks for everything as is and everything in its time and is exactly how it should be. So all is good. And just big up Peter Morgan and whole Morgan family there. So
Definitely.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's a magical moment. That's definitely a magical moment. And speaking of magical moments, I see Super Neil is there. You joining in with us, Neil?
Man, I'm just taking it in. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just taking it in. I noticed that Sailor's accent changed when she said Peter Morgan. She said Peter. Yeah, a little Jamaican accent right there. I like that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you know, I do think, first of all, hey Sailor, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah. I think we should, Uncle L, reach out to Mojo's people and see if we can make that happen. That'll be pretty cool to be a part of that process. If we can accomplish that. You know what I mean? Little bragging rights. Yeah, a little bragging rights.
I mean, beyond that, I mean, the tune is awesome. I mean, your original song is wicked. We love it. But I mean, you know, the addition of a legend on that is just nice.
Yeah. And you know, to me, it has nothing to do with like, it is. If there was any way for me to release it tomorrow, I would just do it. However, like I just think it's beautiful. You know what I mean? I want the world to hear it in whatever better ways, which is why I put it up on my website. You know, not for sale, but there it is. I think you can kind of do that with SoundCloud maybe too. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's worth a talk with Mojo and the Morgan family and figure out what we can do.
Yeah, a little remix with Gramps Morgan on there will be cool too.
Oh,
that's what I'm hearing. Little addition, you know what I mean? Your story's interesting, right, Sailor? Because a lot of people wouldn't admit, hey man, and you probably were better than you thought you were. You know, sibling rivalry, right? Yeah, somebody shut up, stop singing, man. You know what I mean? But to admit that, hey man, I probably wasn't the best, because it shows that you don't have to be the best starting out, but you do have to have work ethic.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And I think actually anybody can say, I don't know, like maybe there's very small percentage of people that might be truly tone deaf, but I really think anyone can learn to sing, and it's a muscle, number one. So you have to condition it. Number two, it's technique, and it's a lot of pronunciation and announcing, and which I'm still working on, and like just there's developing tone and developing your sound, and like all of that is not, you know, if you're young and you have no musical training, your parents aren't musical. I mean, I knew I loved music from church. That's really it. Like I just knew that was it for me. But I didn't have anybody to work with me, so I'm just like singing all over my house and whatever. Who knows? I don't know if I was good or not. Probably not. But I think my point is just, I wanted it so bad. I don't even know what it is I wanted. I just couldn't not do that. You know what I mean? Right. So the consistency over time. I used to have the cassette player, and I would record myself, put the little tape on the top of the tape.
Right.
And record myself and listen to myself. And that's how I was like, ooh, like, let me do that a little bit better. You know what I mean? And like, you don't really know what you sound like until you start recording yourself. Is
that's true.
You know,
the first time I did a radio, right? Which I don't know, 1996 or something like that. You know, I played with the sound system called Mikey Fate Sound. And to be honest, they were all out in the hall, like gambling. And here come the new kid. And I get in, I'm looking at the mic, and I'm like so nervous. I'm like, I'm going to sound stupid. So literally, I got on the mic and I goes, Super Neil 90.9, yeah. And that was for like a whole hour. Because I was like, yo, you sound, and I recorded that. When I listened back to that, I was like, dude, you sound silly on the air. You know what I mean? But those experiences, though, it what builds character, builds you up. You have to go through that to get to the other side, right? Yeah. Also, it's really cool hearing you say, I had to put tape on top of the little holes on the cassette tape so I can record myself. Yo, that is because we did that. I used to put tape,
Yep.
and then I sometimes I used to,
Yeah.
I used to ball up like little pieces of paper and stick down the hole. Sometimes that wasn't the best idea. The tape was probably better, you know.
Yeah, I still don't know why that worked. Like I still
neither.
don't know why that worked or where that even
Me
came
neither.
from, but it worked. I don't know.
It worked. It worked. Also, the fact that, you had a child and had to, of course, when you have kids, the kids come first. Went to nursing school, but then you just never let go of music. It's like so cool to me. You know what I mean? I think what it shows people also like, hey, man, people who does music and does different things, sports or whatever, we are like real people.
100%, 1,000%. And it's so crazy because, like life takes you where it needs to take you and for a purpose. And so like when I had my daughter really young, and at the time it was just like, oh, everybody's out doing their thing, or those people that are pursuing music and the things they want to do that I couldn't really do. Like I couldn't go on tour. I couldn't do any of those things if the opportunity had presented itself at the time. I had to do what I had to do, which at the time I think was a little like, like kind of felt like I was missing out maybe. But now I am so grateful that that was the path and that's what happened, because I think I'm just much more mature personally and also musically grown, that now that I do have more freedom and the opportunity to pursue a lot of that, I think my skill was honed a little bit more just by sitting with it on that level that I'd sit with it at for so long. And now, when opportunities come their way, now that I've finally released an album and I'm like, now I'm actually available to follow up, with, go do a show. Okay, go over to Jamaica. Okay, like I can actually follow through. Whereas like if some opportunities came in my younger days, either one, I probably would have had the money, the maturity, the ability to get over, you know what I mean? The finances probably. So it really does all, it is all. And I'm also have this beautiful blessing of a daughter. Like I give thanks. Selah is like, is my daughter. She's beautiful, smart, intelligent, responsible, like keeps me grounded. And, if I didn't have her, nothing is worth more than that. So I'm so honestly for everything exactly how it is. So
So I just picked up on something.
Me too. I think I picked up on the same thing, but go ahead.
All right. Your daughter's name is Selah or Sela.
Exactly.
And you go by Sailor Jane. Is that a coincidence?
Yeah, it's a coincidence. So a couple people have brought that to my attention lately. Yeah, my daughter's name is Selah, so it's Selah. Selah means to pause and reflect on what you've just learned in Hebrew. Actually,
cool.
Her name is Selah Eve. Her name means to pause and reflect on life, because Eve in Hebrew. Completely unrelated. So my dad was a sailor, lived on a sailboat my whole life. I have lived on and off different small sailboats. I've sailed quite a bit. And when I was younger, my two best friends, we would sail anytime we had time off. We would go on these kind of like adventures. I've been even with my daughter as a young girl, we sailed Central America, South America. And at the time, this is like when Instagram first came out, and we were doing a bunch of like traveling and adventuring, and it was us, we're girls, and it's like a completely unheard of, honestly. It's like a male dominated industry with like delivering sailboats and like doing this whole thing that we were doing, crewing on sailboats in the Caribbean. And so at the time it was like I had Instagram, I was posting about sailing, basically. Like that was the content that I was putting up there. And my handle was Sailor Jane, which is a play off of the American liquor Sailor Jerry rum.
Right.
And he's also a pinup tattoo artist. So he did all these like beautiful, voluptuous, like pinup women. And so it was just kind of like a play on words. If Sailor Jane was just like, yeah, like we're three girls out here, like guys are looking at us crazy when we pull into a dock with this like big boat, like these girls are gonna wreck it up, and we just like slide right. It was hilarious, So it was like, I don't know, I just kind of like a play off words, and also Jane Doe, like I didn't really put my name out there, of these girls in this like male not dominated like adventure space, really. And then when I was offered my first gig with my own band, because I had started kind of working on stuff myself. The guy was like, well, what do you call your band? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, your Instagram is Sailor Jane. Why don't we just do that? And I said, okay, cool. So, and then I played that show and then it just stuck. Like, I guess something about it is really catchy or something. Cause then everybody's just like, oh, I've heard of Sailor Jane. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. So I just stuck with it. And kept that name, and I think that it still applies. Like, it still applies to my approach to music, because I'm out here essentially like producing and executive producing and writing and recording and navigating this industry on my own. Florida, Jamaica, like wherever I go, the Bahamas, like, and I think again, it is very male dominated industry. I don't have a manager. I don't have a label. I'm completely
Oh, wow.
And I always have been, and I've done all of this completely on my own. And I think that that is very difficult to do as a woman. Even just stepping into a studio or responding to a producer that might approach you, or you know, navigating this whole world is very difficult. It takes a lot of self-protection and intuition, and just kind of being able to know, engage, like where to go, where not to go, who to work with, who not to work with, because it's very, very, very difficult space to navigate in as a female that's not represented by anyone. So kind of still applies. Same kind of scenario. Just sailing around the world by yourself as a girl.
That has to be the most interesting story of how a name came about, I think, ever in all the interviews that we've done, right, Uncle L? I don't think I've heard a more interesting, because here's what I made up in my name, and I said, I made up in my head, and I said this to Uncle L. You know, when I hear that name, it kind of reminds me of, you know, the American singer Taylor Dayne, right? So I was trying to make a correlation, and I was like totally dead wrong. You know what I mean? It just sounds familiar. Sailor Jane, Taylor Dayne. Tell it to my heart, you know.
And then some people are like Mary Jane, like, oh, you like to smoke a lot, but your name is actually Sailor.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Not
That's
that.
what I think of.
But what I like about it is that people are talking about it, you know?
Exactly.
Like, and that's why people remember it. So it's cool. Like, we're good.
Well, the name too, right? But when we hear your music, it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? Who's that? You know what I mean? That's a reaction. Oh, this is nice. I've never heard Sade-like that before. This is really nice. You know what I mean? And then I find myself, now I'm in the club, and a lot of times, you know, on Fridays I do like R&B stuff, but I can literally mix your stuff with the R&B stuff, and it fits perfectly. And you know, people don't look at me like, what the hell is that? They look at me like, or they just keep grooving in a natural groove. And I don't think people understand how important that is, to play something that people never heard, right? Or in a way that they never heard it, and they still like groove. Because when something is terrible, they look at you like, dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and even like a non-musician person might not even know that it's maybe terrible or something, but like just that it's not cohesive or on the same level of whatever else is it's around. And that is something that I have kept in my mind since I did the Ready for Love track, because I realized when I heard that rhythm immediately, I was like, that's a good rhythm. Not all of them. I mean, I get all the time from producers, you want to sing on this, you want to sing on this, you want to sing on this, and like you can kind of tell like immediately, like that is good, that is not good. And that was just something that I brought to the forefront of my mind at that point. And then in going to making this album is like, I don't have to, but I would really like to make music at this point in my life anyways. I might change my mind, like next week I might do a whole obscure, like abstract, whatever, like something completely different. But for this album, I wanted it to be something that I wanted to create music for the DJs. Like I wanted to create music for the consumers of music, people that actually buy music, which is not everybody else, like it's the DJ. So because you guys are like the pulse of this, and if I want my music to be heard, I have to serve you something that you can serve an audience, you know what I mean? Like I can't. Yeah, so I hope that we achieved that with the record, and we did a variety of rhythms on the record. So there's a dancehall, there's an Afrobeat, there's roots reggae, there's a ska. There, you know, we really tried to bring in all the different subgenres of Jamaican music so that there is something for everyone on that record, and it all kind of just grooves and flows like that, hopefully.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I guess it is pretty smooth. And I think what's interesting and what I'd love to know is, how did you get permission to do this? Because I assume, and I could be wrong, but I assume that artists like Sade, artists like Sting, when you're trying to do covers of their music, you're trying to, there's all these rights and royalties. When those folks are so big, they could just be like, no. They could shut anything down, and so was it like that, or?
No, I don't think it's that complicated, honestly.
Okay.
There's lots of cover music out there, lots and lots and lots. If you look, you could probably find a cover of any song that you could probably find a cover of it. And essentially the process for me, since I'm I am my own label, essentially, I released everything through DistroKid. And when you release through DistroKid or any other sort of platform like that, they will apply for the mechanical license on your behalf. So you upload all the music, you credit everyone appropriately, which does take some research because I had to look at all those songs and figure out, okay, who's the writer, who's the co-writer, because it isn't Sade solo on everything. Is Stuart Matthewman and Desmond, and like there's different collaborators on each song. So you just credit the music, and then the distribution company that I chose applied for the mechanical license for me. And it was approved. Now, my understanding is that those licenses become approved if you stay true to the original melody and lyrics. It's when you start trying to sample.
Yeah.
So taking, a part of it and then doing my whole verse on it, or then having Bougie Bonton come on, do a verse. Like that's when it becomes more of like a sample than a cover. And that's when it gets a little different and could be denied or extremely expensive or whatever. But in this case, it's a straight cover. I'm singing, her lyrics and her melody. Now on our record, the music is different. The bass lines are different. The rhythms are different. The solos are different. The arrangement, like that is all original. Like I could literally take the music and write a whole original album, because we did a lot of different things there, but the melody that I'm singing and the lyrics are exactly what she did. So it's a cover. I hope she loves it. I really hope she's heard it. I really hope she understands what we tried to do with it. I hope she would never be like, oh, this is crap. Or like, you know what I mean? I hope she sees it as like, just with the utmost respect that we have for her, and this is like a tribute to her. Because her music is so special and iconic. And I've always heard, reggae bass lines and reggae rhythms are very meditative and kind of repetitive and just in this like hypnotic zone. When I hear her music, and I've been listening to her music since I was like 16, that's always resonated with me. Like it's just so simple and effective. And even her style is simple and effective. Like she is just like the most beautiful, graceful, sexy woman without doing hardly anything. You know what I mean? Like effortless, classy. She doesn't show too much. She doesn't put it all out there. It's just very simple, very clean, but really effective. Like her music, her style, everything. So I just have the most respect for her. I really look up to her. I think she's a really good role model for young women, just in that whole approach. To being like sensual and sexy without having to be like all out there, and so tribute to her. And it's also a tribute to Jamaican music. And she also had I think some interest in Jamaica as an island. Her daughter is from Jamaica, and I know she lived and spent time there, and I can tell by the music that she has also got a great appreciation for reggae music, just the influence on her music, so hopefully one day she hears it. But yeah, licenses were easy to get. And yeah, I hope there's no problems with that. None that I know of so far.
Right.
Sony also owns the publishing to the music because the original lyrics are hers and she was signed by Sony. So essentially how that looks is when I release a cover, can I get streaming? Yes, it's minuscule when you get money from streaming platforms. It's like nothing.
Mhm.
But it's like a 50-50 thing where there's also this pot. It's actually a 100 thing, but there's a pot that goes to publishing. I don't get any publishing on this because I didn't write it. So if I'm selling units or selling streams, I'm getting a performance piece of that, but
Right.
whoever owns the publishing is getting all the publishing. So it's only going to, if I succeed, it's only going to further put money in the pocket
Right.
of whoever has the publishing for her music. So I think that's why it is easy to obtain mechanical licenses, as long as it's not a sample. And it becomes a sample when you start changing it or not doing the whole thing or putting original stuff over it. That gets into a whole nother thing.
Thank you for explaining that. That makes sense. I did not know that. So I feel
You taught me something.
Yeah. I feel educated now.
Hold on, though. That's what I think. I'm not an expert. That's how I understand it. But so far, so good. I feel like I would have been shut down by now if I did something wrong. So I think I got it.
So I've got a question, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think it's great that you're doing everything yourself at this point, because what that does, the industry. I won't say inside out, but enough that if someone was to come and say, "Hey, this is red," you can say, "No, this is blue," right? How come you don't have a manager? Is it because you just hadn't found the right fit, or are you like, one of those folks that you have to do everything yourself because you feel that's the only way it's done right? I'm just curious.
I think a little bit of two things. I think one, I am very used to doing everything myself. I'm a really hard worker. I'm self-motivated. I think it's hard to find somebody to work at a pace that I work at and that I'm comfortable with, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think more so it is because I've met a couple people who would be up to do it, and I think who could do it. But I just released this album, and to this day have done nothing but spend money on making music.
Yeah.
So to hire a manager, you have to pay them. And then, like at this point, I'm not making money to pay a manager. Now that I have a product out and I have an album out, now is more of a time to consider that. And actually, I feel like what I need more than I need a manager is a booker, because money comes from playing shows. And now I need to play shows. And then once I have revenue from actual shows, and then moving merchandise can also generate income. So those two things, playing shows, moving merchandise, kind of come hand in hand. You get in front of a big audience, you play a show, you get paid for the show, you sell your merchandise. So then there's room to consider having a manager, because why would somebody want to manage me if there's no way to make money, So I'm not sure how other artists and bands navigate this. I mean, maybe they get signed, maybe that comes with that package. I don't think that me being signed was something to consider either, because essentially when you're signed to a label, all you're doing is getting a loan.
True. People don't understand that. That's absolutely true.
A high interest loan.
Yeah.
So
yep,
I
very
was
much.
a nurse all through COVID, and I worked my butt off. Can I say? I don't know what I can say. We're on the radio. I don't know. I was about to say anyway, I was going to have sailor language.
You're fine. Look, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. So yeah, I worked my ass off during 2020, and I'm a nurse. I'm an ER critical care trauma nurse. So like working a lot, making some money. So I was in the position at that time to make my own record, which is what I wanted to do. And I had been saving up for 3 years. I had been thinking about this project, thinking about what I wanted to do, who I wanted to do it with, how I wanted to do it, where I wanted to do it, the whole thing. And a little manifesto, I had it all kind of mapped out, and I had been saving money to do it. You know, like I had done some other tunes like you guys have heard, but those had all been like very low, like singing in a box. The rhythm was already recorded. I'm just singing to the track basically on those. And then somebody else. This was musicians all in the same room together. This record was live musicians playing together.
Nice.
How they used to do back in the day. Like this was a big production, and it was produced by Michael Goldwasser, who was my top pick producer on this, who I reached out to. I picked the musicians that I wanted. I picked the studio that I wanted and pulled all this together, which is something that a label would invest in typically, because then they see, you know, they can then package this up and tour it and make money off of it. Well, I was my own label. I did that myself.
Right.
So once you have the product created, I have the album, I own the masters. There's no, what would the incentive be for a label at this point? Product that I don't need your money. I mean, maybe I could use an investor right now to put me on tour, or, you know, some capital for merchandise or something like that. But as far as like a label signing you to go make a record, I've already got a record. Now I just need to get it out on the road. So that's why I say I kind of need a booker.
Mhm.
Right.
And then a manager if there's enough work to manage. So
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at now. And I also think I'm a little bit, you know, you mentioned something about like, you know, enough. Yeah, I know enough for some people not to want to mess with me, because this is a sticky business. And
Exactly.
people know they can't make money off of you or take advantage of you. It's a different thing. So, and I'm fully aware of that. And that's totally okay, because I'm out here making music because I love it. And I want to create art, and I could care less about how many people or who consumes it. Like if people like it and love it, that just builds me up and makes me want to make more, you know, but I'm going to make more regardless. Really, I want Sade to hear the record.
Right. Nice.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not motivated the same way. Like you know, if somebody came and said, I'm gonna give you $500,000 to do X, Y, Z, and some people would just be like, okay, and like sign, like you know, that's not really where my motivation is at. I'm more motivated to be like, if somebody was like, yo, this guitar player, this bass player, and this horn section is gonna be in this house and in the ghetto of Kingston tomorrow, can you be there? And I'm gonna go like ask all my friends for money to buy a plane ticket and go just to record, and like that's where I'm at. You feel what I mean?
That's what's
Yeah.
up, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magic moments.
it.
Making magic
Yeah,
moments.
that is
It's art.
it,
Like
Sailor.
people get so caught up in like this whole thing about like what it looks like and who's gonna like you and who's gonna this and that. And I could really, it's not, I don't want to say I could care less, because I don't want to seem like I don't care about other people. I definitely do. And like one compliment that I've received that really means a lot to me is when people say, and I've heard this a few times, like, oh, your music is really soothing. Like it really made me feel good. Like it made me feel calm, or it's like healing. Like those things, that's what I care about, because the intention and the actual creation of the art was there. It wasn't just like, let's just slap a bunch of things together and see what trends, and this like whole idea of making music, like that's not what I'm trying to do at all. So yeah.
I second that emotion. Whoever said that to you, I second and third that emotion, because the music does that. That's why I said it was yourself, and I said this also to who was it? I think it was Kalia. Same thing. Like I can literally play your music in an R&B set, and I can also play it in a reggae set, because it's true to reggae, but it just mixes so well with other stuff. You know, it makes it easy for me as a DJ to introduce your song, because sometimes it's hard to introduce new music because the way I was recorded, how it starts, it's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it, but this just flows. You know what I mean? And it's so cool, man.
And I love Kalia as well. I know I know of the artist that you're speaking. I just saw her perform live. We both performed at the Wiki Waki Festival in Jamaica.
Nice.
Like in February, I think. So I saw her set live, and she's a great singer and great music. And I think that kind of stuff is really important, even just for Jamaican music, for reggae music, to be something palatable in a mixed set like that, because that's how it gets exposed to other audiences and branches out. You know, like there's a lot of people that have not been exposed to reggae music yet, and I think, you know, I've had that conversation with different reggae artists from Jamaica. It's like, why is that? Like, why isn't there more mainstream? Why isn't there more reggae artists in the mainstream scene in the US? The UK, they're on it. They're already ahead of the game.
Exactly.
But in the US, it's
Mhm.
different. And I really think that it's kind of a couple different reasons for that. I mean, it definitely is not a lack of talent, because I promise you, I have not seen such concentrated high level talent and feel anywhere else I've ever been than in Jamaica. I'm like, these people
Right.
gifted musicians, and there's so many of them in such a small space. It's really, really, really special. But to get out into the mainstream in the US, I feel like there are barriers, and I think, you know, one of them is relatable lyrics, because not everybody can
Yep.
relate to the ghetto youth in Kingston, Jamaica, and what they're singing about. And not that that's not relevant, but that's a fact, you know. And you bring
Yep.
that to the US, and it's like, I don't think that there, you know, it's like, oh, why does this West Coast Cali white boy reggae band do so well? It's because that everybody wants that vibe and that feel, but like the lyrics, I think, are more palatable and relatable. And I'm not saying that we got to do that, but we just need to, I think,
Right.
Mhm. I
size.
think I was gonna say I think Collie Buddz does a real good job of that. You know, making
Yes.
those relatable kind of lyrics to
Yeah.
kind of go with, as you say, that kind of laid back Cali vibe. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
when I think of that, I think Collie
they did a
Buddz.
great job of it. There are Jamaican, that I think my point is that there are Jamaican artists that do that. Kalia is one of them. But you know what I mean? I think that's really important. And to find those artists in Jamaica that are doing that and bringing that positivity. Peter Morgan Heritage does that. Chronixx does that. There are artists that do that, and it's relatable in a positive way. And
Mhm.
it's a place for the other music as well. It's just an answer to the question, like, why isn't this? Because we got to find something relatable in music always. Like, I think that's the anchor point, and that's it's just cool when you can find that and then bring it into the mainstream and mix nicely. The production's on the same level, and we can get it there. But yeah, because you know, I would love to see more Jamaican artists touring in the United States, and there be like a stage for that and an audience for that. Because we need real music. We need real
We
music.
need
culture,
real
yeah.
music.
Yeah.
That's a profound statement. We need real music. My take of it is kind of like two things too, right? I think one angle in my head anyway, a lot of those artists depend on other people who don't have their best interests in mind. So it kind of goes back to what you spoke about, right? The fact that you did it like you did it, even took the time to pull back to say, okay, I need to make some money in a sense, right? And being able to finance your project. Now you're not dependent on a producer who might get pissed off at you tomorrow and just kind of like can your project and have it up in his computer somewhere because you know you're a female artist and he wanted to get with you. It's so much different stuff. You kind of have on the second part of it, you kind of have these quote unquote gatekeepers that if you're not in favor with them, then they hold you back. So I think going back to it, the answer is kind of like how you did it. You know what I mean? Because what you're doing, in my opinion, is growing an organic fan base.
Yes, 100%. And that I think is
I mean,
really important, even like on social media and whatnot. Like, I think it's really important not to ever try to blow up your followers on social media or in any space with these like like that's ridiculous. Like, it's not going to get you anywhere. Have an
Right.
organic following. You can always tell when it's fake. Or I mean, if you've got like 500,000 followers and you got like 10
three
likes
people.
posts or something, like that doesn't even make sense. So like that's just not a good look. And yeah, I mean, it's just such a distorted world we're living in right now. We're in this big paradigm shift from like living in the real world to living in the digital world. It's like,
Yeah.
it is definitely difficult to navigate, but yeah, I'm here for the last of the crusaders of the analog. Like,
Crusade on!
make
Power
real
to the
music.
people, you know?
Let's like have real relationships with people, real connection with people. So yeah.
Well,
So
I tell
speaking
you what,
of-
I mean, go ahead, Uncle. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say. So speaking of real world and places you can touch, I saw that you were recently in Jamaica. And of course you've talked about going back and forth there. So one of the questions I have for you is how have you been received in Jamaica? You know, doing the music you do, putting out the album, all that sort of thing. Talk about how you've been received and what people in Jamaica are kind of saying to you about your music.
I would say very, very well. I wish I was in Jamaica right now, as a matter of fact. So soon enough, I will be back. But I've spent a greater part of the last year in Jamaica, in Kingston, traveling also. It's not the biggest of islands, so I've seen the whole island, but based in Kingston. And I was invited to Kingston by musicians, and my record is all Jamaican musicians. So I already kind of knew and had relationships with some very respected musicians living in Jamaica. So I think that kind of helped. Just when I first arrived, because there's a couple really cool jams over there from some of the art college graduates and alumni who are the top players, and they all kind of come together, and it's actually incredible to go to these jams that are free, and you've just got like some of the best musicians you'll ever encounter just all set up playing and jamming for hours, and like big artists will come through and you're just like, where am I? This is like crazy.
Nice.
So I've been able to just step into those circles just because of some of the people who I've worked with who organically found me somehow, just through all of this. And I've been able to perform at those jams, and then even I've had bookings in Jamaica, which is really rare, honestly. But I think it's because first of all, I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I think that being authentic is really the most valuable thing that you can have going for you, is like, don't ever try and be somebody that you're not in an environment where you're not. Like, just be you.
Right. That
translates, and I think people are less turned off by that, and more inviting into the space, and then just come correct with your skill. Period. Like, that's it. And they're so welcoming, and it's like, what? It's almost more like a novelty, I think, because they don't really expect me or somebody that looks like me to just like jump on some kind of like rhythm and just start doing my thing. Like, they're just like,
just kill it. Yeah, this guy, whoa.
So I think that there's a little bit of like a novelty there, which is cool and to my advantage. And then, yeah, like I said, just bringing skills forward, like bringing it with confidence as well, and authenticity. One thing about Jamaica in general is you better walk with confidence no matter where you go or what you do. Like, if you're not confident doing it, you don't have no business being there doing it, because that's dangerous. And that's just something that I've learned about Jamaica in general. Just being out on the road, or just where you go and how you carry yourself. Like, you need to walk. I mean, they say walk good, like walk in confidence, and I realized too that the more confident you are when you're speaking with other people, just culturally in this culture, it's like the more respect you get back. You know what I mean? If you approach somebody like, hi, like, I'm not supposed to be here. Can I, like that kind of thing. It's gonna eat you alive. Like, seriously.
That's real talk. That is real talk.
Yep, surely is.
That is real talk. So what?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
go ahead. Finish your point.
Confidence and authenticity, I think, are very important. Like, to be yourself and to be very confident in who you are. And that'll get you anywhere in the world, really. But yeah, Jamaica is a hard place. Like, it's not for the faint of heart. Like, Kingston is not for the faint of heart by any means. But I love it. Like, the energy and the creativity, the fashion, like everything in Jamaica is extreme. Like, everything is extreme. And like, if somebody's going to be wearing all white, it's going to be the brightest white that you've ever seen. And it's going to be white from head to toe. And it's going to be like glowing from, you know what I mean? Like, everything is extreme. And I love the personalities and the characters and the talent and like everything, the food, everything is extreme. And I love that about Jamaica. It's very inspiring. And I've been writing a lot this year. I've got several songs that I've been working on that are all in like some stage of production or mix right now that'll be coming out. That I've worked with a couple tunes with. I have 3 songs with Leroy Sibbles that I've been working on.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I guess I left that cat out of the bag just now. So yeah, I did 3 songs with him that are in various stages of production at this point. And then I've been working with like Skunga, who's a producer out there. He's a sound engineer for Black Uhuru, and he's just like this sweet, great producer who I just recorded a tune with. What else? Yeah, just some working on Jalonzo, the Dub Wizard. Okay, so that's what I was gonna get to with the record. I don't know how much time we have, but I did want to make a couple points of things that are coming up.
Please
And-
do, yeah.
So I just recently met with Jalonzo, the Dub Wizard, at Kingston Dub Club up in the hills in Kingston, and we did a live dub session with Cherish the Day, which is one of the tracks from the Ordinary Dub album. My original concept for the album was to do the straight album. It's 14 tracks, but I wanted to do dub versions and feature different artists on all the tunes, and so I could have dub remixes, and that was the idea for No Ordinary Dub, the album, right?
Yeah.
So I'm moving into starting that process now. And I just got with Jalonzo, the Dub Wizard, we did 5 versions of Cherish the Day. One of them a live vocal version, and then we have 4 straight dub versions.
Nice.
That, we're going to release one of digitally. And then I have the live vocal that we're going to release in a video format on YouTube. Because we did a live video, and then he is actually coming over to Florida in May. We have a couple shows that we're doing together in Florida, so we're gonna do the whole like live dub, No Ordinary Dub sessions, tribute to Sade at the 90s festival here in North Florida. So it's kind of fitting to that specific festival. And then hopefully, like, we're really trying to push some bookings together, because him and I together can bring the album to audiences in a little bit more of an easier package, because I'm not traveling with a full band. That's very difficult logistically, and without an investor, which I would love to meet. I'll say that again. But right now, doing the dub sessions is another way to represent the album in its entirety, because this isn't an album that I can just go hire some cover band to do, because the level of musicianship is such a high bar. It's really hard to perform this without those players. Or somebody of the same caliber. So doing the live dub session is the next best thing, because it's the actual tracks.
Right. Well, I think that's interesting too, because Protoje has been doing the same thing with TPI grade, and that's seems to be been pretty well received wherever they've gone and done that. So I think that's an awesome thing for you to be doing too.
Yep. It unfortunately doesn't provide work for the musicians, which is ultimately what I want to do, because I think the musicians are just as part of this record, if not more than I am. I'm just one layer of that, as far as the performance goes. And so I really hope to find the opportunity to bring the musicians on the road and give them that stage and that respect and performance that they're due, because they're incredible. But unfortunately, like I said, without having an investor and a booking agent and all this kind of thing, it's like not affordable. And so I'm hoping that this year, I do some performances with the dub sessions, making people more aware of the record and who I am. And then hopefully following in 2026, we have like a full band tour, which would be ideal. UK, Brazil, South America, these are the places that listen to my music the most. So yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, so we've got some dub mixes coming up. We have some live shows in Florida coming up with the dub sessions, and then I have a 45 coming out soon. So hopefully our vinyl collectors will be getting that. I'm not gonna tell you which song it is, but we have one of the tunes from the record being pressed on 45.
Okay.
With a dub side on the B side, so
nice.
Get that out.
So let me ask a question. What does a DJ have to do to get one of those 45s? Like, a signed one though. A signed one.
100,000%. I had okay. So I did a deal with a vinyl company out of London. And this is really sneak peek, and I'm not even supposed to talk about this right now because it's in production, and there's such a backlog on vinyl that the production can kind of be a minute, the turnaround time. is pushed out a little bit, so that they don't really want me talking about it because they don't want people like, where's it at, like it's coming, it'll come when it's done, kind of thing. But I'll still give you the little sneak peek. I'm not gonna tell you what song it is, but it's a song
Okay.
from the record, and there's the original on one side and then the dub side on the back, featuring Jalanza, the dub wizard, the guy that I'm working with. They're gonna do 500 copies to push out in their mail list and their audience, and then I'll have 50 copies to sell and sign. So I'll put your name down for one, and
I'm buying mine.
Okay.
I don't want it free. I want to pay for it.
It won't be.
I love some Sailor Jane. Oh my God, you're like the greatest, bro. I promise. Yeah.
I'm actually gonna start my note right now of my personal sign up, because you're like the third person now that said sign me up. So
Please.
I'm gonna sign you up. So tell me your first and last name.
You want my government name? Okay.
Social security number, address, last. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. It's
No, I'll
Everard.
just do Super Neil. I just do Super Neil. That's all I
Okay,
need.
Super Neil. Okay.
And your email.
'Cause I gotta.
You can give me that later. Send me your
Okay,
email.
cool.
All that. So, but I got you on my list.
Cool.
But yes, so I'll have 50 copies to sign and give away, and then if it does really well, then we'll probably do other songs from the record. I mean, I have 14 songs. I do already have a dub mix from The Scientist on one of the tracks, and I have one from a dub artist named Victor Rice out of Brazil. So yeah, I got the dub versions coming. There's a couple dub engineers that I really want to work with, dub artists. So I'm hoping to reach out to them and connect and get those versions as well. So this is kind of cool for me because the project's already done, but now it's just like, ooh, I get to play with this.
Play with it, yeah.
Really turn it into the No Ordinary dub that I envisioned in the beginning. You know what I mean? So I'm really, really excited. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something, right? I got one more question before we go, because I looked at my device and I think I see red. First of all, I'll make a statement. You're like hella cool. And when you were saying earlier that be your authentic self, well, that shows, right? And that's why I believe you'll be able to go anywhere in the world and succeed, because you are your true authentic self. So my last question for you is, out of the product is the music, right? What do you enjoy most? Creating the product, recording the product, or performing the product?
Wait a minute. Is there a difference in creating and recording?
Yeah, because creating, you got to write the song.
Oh, like the pre-production part.
Exactly.
Recording.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Nice. Why?
It's something I actually thought quite a bit about. There are recording artists and there are performance artists.
True.
And then even in the world of artists, performers, there's entertainers, there's artists, right? So like also, but I like recording, and there's a lot of performers and entertainers that really don't like recording, and they actually kind of suck. Like they'd be great on stage, and then you put them in a booth, and you're just like, ugh.
I know some.
Yeah, me too. And vice versa. You know what I mean? There's some people that are in the studio and not so great on stage. I love recording. That is like where I could spend days, hours, weeks, months in a recording studio, do it all day, every day. I absolutely love it. Recording myself, recording other musicians, putting the whole production part for me is so juicy and satisfying and stimulating and creative. Like, I love it. Recording vocals for me, I also really love, because I don't know if you can pick this up yet or not, but I'm kind of a driven person. And I really I need like stimulation, and like I need to be productive, or I feel like, I don't know. In the studio, I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, because I'm not anywhere near perfect on anything I've ever done, but like I like to strive for it. You know what I mean? So I love being in the studio. I love working with an engineer where that communication flow is happening, and you're just like in the booth and they're like, boom, oh no, you can do it a little bit better this time, go a little higher, but boom, do it again. Like that feedback and quick communication and refinement and hyper analyzing of vocals, like that to me is the work, and I love it. Like it's like the refinement, I love it. And I think we lost Super Neil. I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think he's delayed. He's probably just recording. He's still recording. That's the most important thing.
Okay, yeah.
No. I'm here, but my phone just dinged and said 10%. So I'll put it on a charger real quick. I have one of those in-cord chargers because I don't have a cord. You know what I mean?
You're there. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm using a lot of words, but I'm just trying to say I like working in the studio. I like somebody analyzing my voice. I like analyzing my voice. I like making it better, listening over and over again. Like that work is so good to me, like I love it. So, but performing is fun too. I think there's more anxiety around performing, not even in the moment, but leading up to the moment. I think that's imposter syndrome. My daughter pointed this out to me the other day because she's so smart and emotionally mature. But the actual performance, especially with a band or within this vibe, like that is also just like super high. You know what I mean? Like that is something that, especially when there's a crowd and it's a dope stage and there's lights and you're just like in the vibe, like that is undescribable actually. But I think the anxiety that I have leading up to performances, and I don't know if other people experience this or not.
A lot of people do, believe it or not. A lot of the big artists do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that is. And because when you walk up on stage, you get like a few seconds into the song, you feel the music and the bass and stuff, and you just like, all of that is gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's just the lead up. It's so weird. So, but like that part I don't like. So I think that's the only thing I don't like about performing is the pre-performance anxiety period. Like that, however long, like if I'm gonna play a gig, man, just tell me about it today. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna be fine. Don't give me a whole month to sit here and mull it over in my brain. Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say in between songs? What am I gonna wear? Don't let me think about all that. So yeah. So if I had a manager, that would be one of the things that they'd have to get really good at, is just being like, don't have to worry about any of this. We'll tell you
exactly.
Up. Just, are you available this day or whatever? And just put me in a studio until that day, like that'll be good.
Yeah. I mean, this has been awesome, and we could go on forever,
Yeah.
but we definitely enjoyed this. So obviously you've talked about the dub versions coming up next and those sorts of things. Just in general, when you're done with the music, and people reflect on Sailor Jane and what she's done and who she's been, what would you want people to say?
Well, we don't have time to talk about it really, but a whole nother aspect to the process of me recording this record we haven't talked about, and that's the fact that I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
Right. Wow.
During this process, while we were recording the music actually. So before I got to the vocals, but once we were doing the musical part of recording, and out of nowhere, like I still to this day have no idea like how or where that came about, but I was diagnosed with advanced stage cancer like during the recording session when all the musicians were here from Jamaica and producer was down. So yeah, that was life shattering. I mean, at the moment I thought it was kind of like my life was just, whatever, whole world stopped. But because I still had this record to finish and I had all the vocals to do, I had to start chemotherapy, which is very hard and made me very sick. And I had to go once every 3 weeks to have this done. And it would put me down for like 2 weeks where I just couldn't even get up, and like, so I would book myself at the studio here on the 3rd week and it would give me motivation for those 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Forward to, and then on that 3rd week, something to feel really good about before having to go back and do that again, right? So I think, but my point is you asked me like, what would I want people to maybe take away or say about me or take from this is what is just that, like, you know, I want people, number one, to feel the healing power of music.
Right.
That is what this record was for me. Even though I didn't intend that for it to be that when I conceptualized the project 3 years prior, like I had no idea that it would save my life, really. In my spirit, probably, but I hope that where I was when I was recording this record translates somehow in the music and in the feel of, you know, what we're delivering and the vibe. And I hope people get that same kind of like healing gift from the music that I received from it, because that's what this album was for me. And it is very interesting to do an album versus a single, where you just do a single, you sing it one time, you send it off and it gets mixed and it is whatever. Like an album takes up, it can be years of your life. And in my case, you know, the record should have been done in 6 months. It wasn't even released until 2 years later because of what I was going through in life. And, you know, it took me a minute to finish it and then just even be ready to release it so that I could follow up with interviews and all these things and be in a healthy place. But album is a journey, because it takes time in somebody's life to create. So by the time it gets to the listener's ear, like it's not just this one day snapshot of something that happened. Like this is somebody's life and they're taking you through it musically. You know? So yeah, I hope people feel something from it. Maybe a sense of where I was and what I was going through, and just how powerful music can really be and affect you. So yeah.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. So you were a nurse during COVID.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, an amazing and definitely an interesting experience at one point. We went through the breast cancer journey, and you produced an amazing piece of art while going through that journey.
Yep.
And
now I don't have cancer anymore. I also healed myself.
and that is amazing. You know, we thank God for that too.
But like, I don't even like, that's what I'm trying to say is like, this whole way that life lined up, this record for me, I think was huge in my healing journey. Like, I know that sounds so cliche, like music saved me, like music, whatever.
If it did, it did.
You know what I mean? But like, until you go through something like that, and for those people that have gone through something like that, you will know that when your body is trying to give up on you, and then you're having to take medication that's trying to kill you, literally, the only thing that can get you through that and come out on the other side not destroyed or completely defeated and worn down and tired is your mind. You know what I mean? Like your mind and your heart and your spirit and your will to live and something to live for is truly what keeps people alive when they're battling like that. And there are people that don't make it. You know what I mean? And like there are people that don't make it just from the treatment, you know, a lot of times more so from the treatment. So I'm just so thankful, and I just want to press that, like how important it is to have a will to live, have something to live for, have something that you love so much. You know, in my case, my daughter and music, that like, you're like, you don't have time for this. Like, period. You do not have time for this. And because you got to keep doing those things that you really love. And like, that is really what gives people like an advantage over the next to survive something really terrible, really horrible, really low, whether it's sickness, illness, loss, death of a family member or a close person, separation, whatever it is, grief, like just having something that it's so important to have something or things and people in your life that are worth living for. And for me, that's music. So yeah. And my dog.
And that's amazing. I can certainly relate. I think my mother, you know, was a breast cancer survivor. She did pass a couple of years ago, and I think she had a heart condition, and what I now realize and have learned is that she was battling through it all the year before she died. And I think what kept her going, what I learned was that I had my second son was born that year that she was going through it.
Him.
And and she was here for his birth.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit after his birth, but she was here, and that was what she was living for.
Yep.
You
And
know,
that's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, what a blessing. Like, and yeah, that is beautiful. And I'm sorry for your loss also. And,
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
for the new life that you have. That's like, that is life, and that is beautiful. So yeah. So we turned a hard left corner there with the heaviness, but
No, but
Sorry.
it's Sailor, it's so cool. This interview is so cool. And I keep setting the phone down because I don't want it to go dead, right? But I had to pick it up real quick and I'll put it back down, right?
Yeah.
But I had a friend. First of all, I had a friend whose mom got a diagnosis of cancer, and in months she was gone. Totally different person, but I think she gave up in her mind, right? Then I had another friend who was diagnosed and given 6 months to live, and he just went totally raw. He didn't take any chemo, he didn't take any of their medicine. That guy went totally raw and got rid of cancer by himself. The one thing about him, though, he's a mentally strong person.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It is like, yeah, because I mean, we could go on and on about this, and like lessons that I learned from being a nurse for 15 years and seeing how disease affects people and how the mind affects the body and the body affects the mind. And this is symbiotic.
Right.
This is like you're not disconnected from your mind and your body. It's all in the same, you know what I mean? So
Right.
it definitely affects the other. I do believe that you can heal yourself. I do believe that sometimes you ignore signs a little bit too long, where you're kind of
Right.
to have to take maybe other measures. But even when you take other measures, you still have to take into your hands and control of your own life. You can't just sit there and take every drug the doctor, you know, like, I mean, if I took every drug, I would still be taking drugs now if I took every drug the doctor told me to take, but I take no medication now. I fast regularly. I eat very, very clean, which I did before I got sick also. So it's kind of like, this can happen to anybody. And trust me, like, if it could happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Like, I've always been very, very conscious of what I put in my body, exercised, lived healthy, you know, avoid chemical, like, this can happen to anybody. I personally think that COVID may have altered my immune system a little bit. I think because I had COVID really bad because I was working in it. I mean, I think we all did, right? That's why we all need to be extra careful and like doing the things to keep ourselves healthy and the inflammation down. And like I said, I could talk about all this for forever. I don't think it's the point. The point is that the mind can definitely save your life or end it any day. So
end it.
It's just find something that you love and that's passionate, you know, that you're passionate about, and surround yourself with people that you love and that love you, and eliminate anybody else that don't. 'Cause that is toxic.
That is
Very true.
toxic.
Yeah, and that's it. So
Cool, man. We definitely have to do more interviews.
let's do it.
It's crazy. Like anytime we interview some people, at the end of the interview, and this happens like all the time, we just feel like I know you now. You know what I mean? It's weird. You know.
Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, man. So, how do people get in touch with you?
Okay.
If they want to experience more of your vibe, your vibrance, your music, your love, your experience, how do they do that?
So so the music, it's Sailor Jane Music, really everywhere. So Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you listen to music, Sailor Jane or Sailor Jane Music. On Instagram, it's Sailor Jane Music, and then I have a link tree in my bio that you can click on and go find my music wherever. I also have an Instagram that's linked to my Sailor Jane Music Instagram, and it's root.rx. And that is actually the space where I do a lot of talking about my personal healing journey and lifestyle. I just recently did my yoga certification, so I'm doing yoga, meditation, health coach certified, doula certified, and I'm a registered nurse. I don't work in a hospital anymore, but I like to, people that are interested in this kind of stuff, I like to kind of send them there, kind of like further that. And then the music side of things, Sailor Jane Music. And I link a lot of stuff together there because I think both of these things are significant to my personal journey, whether
Sure.
people hear about it or not. So like, but it's all there. It's all lifestyle. It's all, I mean, it's just all keeping it real. So Sailor Jane Music, root.rx, and the music is everywhere, and the music is coming. More music is coming this year, original music and then the dub versions. So and anytime I'm playing or performing anywhere, I put it up on Instagram and Facebook and all that. So yeah,
Definitely. This is amazing. I really enjoyed this chat. Really enjoyed vibing with you. Neil, I'm sure
Yeah.
he enjoyed it too. Yeah.
Oh man.
Great.
Normally I'm in my studio. I'm looking all fancy with lights behind me, but man, today was a
You
great
look
day.
good, and I like your sweatshirt, and you got a vibe going on. You're good.
Cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Well, number love, Sailor, and we'll
I got you
continue to play
down
the
for a
music.
vinyl. You got some.
That's right. Cool.
Samir,
And I'll have Uncle L send it to you as soon as we get off because I'm still in the car.
Okay, good.
And we'll vibe up. Nothing but love, my sister. Blessings. Peace and blessings.
Absolutely, nothing but love.
Respect.
Okay, cool. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
All right.
Cool.
Take care. Bye.